Hi there, welcome to Tarot Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Libra energy, and like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row is going to be a more high vibrational Libra energy, and the bottom row is going to be a more worldly, shadowy Libra energy. We all have a dualistic nature. We all have free will. We battle within ourselves. Should I move forward in life differently? Do I have hope and faith and belief in myself and in my dreams? Or should I stay where I'm at? And some people right now could be battling within themselves. Some people might want to do life differently, but you have to, the truth sets us free. You have to see some truth. You have to heal, grow, mature, expand your perception of the world around you. Be willing to face your fears or something in order to be able to move forward authentically in that new way. And because we have free will, if we pick this, we can't pick that. And for some people, that's really a problem. Libra is represented by the Two of Swords. Some people just have a really hard time making a decision. Can't decide what they want, We can align with our more high vibrational nature of hope and faith and belief and love. But then we have our more worldly, immature about ourselves, these things we want to indulge in nature. We could go back and forth. Do I want to do love, or do I want to make it about me, or more about indulging in these things of the world? Do I want to try to do both? Do I want to try to deceive and manipulate someone? And some other people have made the decision within themselves. Some people have decided, I am going to move forward differently. Other people have decided, I'm not going to move forward in life differently. And when some people move forward in life differently, there's some people they're going to leave behind. We all repeat a certain pattern of way of living life. We stay in our comfort zone, and we're already, we heal and grow and mature at different times in life. And we just need to see the truth of that. Oops, got an alarm on my phone. Okay, what's the reason for the top row's reading? Missing you. It's also the reason why the reading came out. Sometimes we get so caught up in the things of the world because the shadowy nature can just represent that we were in our shadow nature, kind of, not loving and believing in ourselves. And we missed feeling happy and confident and, so we could have missed our more high vibrational nature. And then we have the different people that we align with in the world. And maybe we weren't aligning with people that were loving and encouraging and supportive. And maybe we were kind of hanging out with some people that were a little more shadowy or happy we were in our shadow. We also could have been dealing with some people that they weren't really ready to move forward. They could have thought, oh no, I've healed, I put that behind me, I'm ready to move forward with someone else, but they really weren't, So we're going to kind of look at it from that perspective. The reason for the bottom row's reading is healing. So we have these things that manipulate us, our fear, our insecurity, our past pain and heartbreak, our self-limiting beliefs, our immature, indulgent, lazy, lustful, greedy nature. Some people still have some healing to do to be able to move forward and let go of some of those things in the past that kind of manipulate them. Other people have freed themselves from some of those things. They did some healing, worked through some of their past pain and heartbreak, and they are ready to move forward and maybe have more just and fair or more mature or more emotionally balanced relationships than some other people could be ready to do right now. But we can all struggle because there can be people in our life that there's a part of us that would want to keep staying in a relationship with them, whether that's an adult child, a friend, a family member. And if we were to stay in that relationship, maybe thinking we could still heal it, even though we've maybe already seen the truth, there's a part of us that would like to stay in it because then we won't miss anyone, right? We could think, then I'll be in a relationship with them. But if it's a kind of more worldly, shadowy energy, it could have been at one time everybody was on the same page, but then as time went by, we kind of, everybody can be willing to accommodate and heal and grow and mature in different ways, but when it gets to be kind of getting to a core foundational truth. I have hope and faith and belief in love. You could be defensive to love. I could have loving relationships are more important to me, and maybe you, in your defensive nature, or indulging yourself, or money and materialism is more important to you. And so, or having the scales tipped in your favor, where it's always a little bit more about them. And we can get along with people for a really long time. And sometimes we're in those relationships and one person does heal and they did some of that inner work to free themselves from it. And that's when the whole relationship dynamic changes, because one person did work through some issues that manipulated them. They're not the same person anymore. When one person in a relationship dynamic changes, the whole dynamic changes, because you're not acting the way you used to, things you maybe used to indulge in to make yourself feel better. You're not maybe indulging in as much or anymore. You're not triggered the same way you used to be. Maybe before, people used to play on your fear or your codependent nature or your competitive nature or your lust or your greed or your ego. And now they can't because you kind of worked through whatever it was that could have had you in that energy to begin with. And then when one person heals, one person did the work to free themselves from some things that manipulated them. And they maybe got, I kind of look at the music card as like, in high vibe, it could be a more creative, inspired, feeling more confident within yourself and kind of ready to take a leap of faith. This card, of course, reminds me of the Fool card. And while some people are in a relationship, some people are doing that work. Whenever we're in a stable, a relatively stable or secure, supportive environment, some people, while they're in that environment because they kind of want to try to be the best version of themselves, or it's just an environment where they do feel kind of safe and secure to do some of this inner work. And then they do that inner work, but the other people could have harnessed these energies in a more shadowy way, and we didn't know that. Maybe they are, the Mask card reminds me of Leo energy, that maybe they, and we all, could have been living more from our worldly egoic nature, more inspired in our fire nature about these things of the world. That would be Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. There's these things of the world that I want to have in the world that I think would make me happy. We could have gotten in relationships with people and they were on the same page. They wanted to make their life about those things and thought that would make them happy too. But some people never plan to ever step out of their comfort zone. It's like, no, I don't ever heal. I have my own issues, my own fears, my own insecurities, my own bad habits and self-limiting beliefs, but I don't ever want to reflect on those things. I always stay kind of being more inspired to stay in my defensive nature, my egoic nature, more about myself, more about the world. And then when they're in a relationship with people who kind of look at life from a higher perspective and realize, I've kind of learned everything I was meant to learn from living my life like this. Now I'm ready to face my fears to move forward kind of in life differently. Do you want to come with? And I think loving people offer other people love and encouragement to help them work through their own fears about why they don't want to step out of their comfort zone. Life's about becoming more authentically ourselves and freeing ourselves from those things that manipulate us to live our more authentic life. To get out of all these fears of people judging us. And, if I'm taking action in truth and love and I'm treating other people the way I like to be treated and I'm a loving, encouraging person, why would I be so caught up in my fear about what people would say? But that is about conforming to the world. No, we need to do life like this. We need to harness these energies in a more worldly, shadowy way. We should do what the world thinks or what we think other people think, and we don't ever really live our authentic life, that it's all about conforming to the world. And we have to accept that that's how some people want to live their life. And in the bottom row, we start out with one card not showing itself. Let's go see what it is. Solitude. So the solitude card reminds me of our Virgo nature, that we could harness that differently. And Virgo energy can be about what our long-term objective is. And some people, we could have gotten in relationships, we could have had a lot of things in common, a lot of things we agreed upon, but it was in our Libra energy of what we think is just and fair that makes us feel stable and grounded maybe within ourselves, and what our long-term goals were and what we like to invest our time, energy, and effort into. And a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy could be, my long-term goal is to have these things that make me look victorious and successful in the world, and that I'm good with that. And I don't ever want to step out of my comfort zone to do life any differently, because that does require, it could kind of throw me out of balance, because to step out of my comfort zone and do life differently, there's like no template for me to follow. My life and people in my life and people in my family could have lived their life like this and made their life about those things. And to do life differently, I would have to listen to love and intuition to guide my steps. And I'd have to face my fears. And I'd also have to be willing to let go of some old ways of being. And maybe some people in my life. High vibe energy is about becoming more independent. Kind of spreading your own wings. Getting out of the nest. And some people aren't willing to do that. And they aren't someone who's willing to maybe be more independent of their defensive nature, their self-interest nature, their ego nature, change any of their bad habits, become more independent from the world or other people in their life, that they make the primary kind of foundation that they defer to in their life, which could be their original family, some friend group, or the world or work. That takes precedent in their life. And so sometimes if you get in relationships with people like that, eventually over time you kind of realize you're the third party, even if you marry them and have children with them. Their primary loyalty is to this other foundation. And if that other foundation says, I don't really like those people, I think you should let them go, they're different, they don't do life like we do, they could defer to those people because they're codependent on them for, I don't know, just not independent of them yet to live their more authentic life. Where other people don't maybe like that, some other, high vibe Leo or shadowy Leo can be people who are more about, I want to be out there in the world. I want to show people this and show people that. And I like attention and I want to be in the spotlight. And maybe someone else is someone, they don't need that in their life to validate their worth and value. But some other people, that can be how they validate their worth and value, is by how they think other people view them. Which is all part of the illusion. Because they can go out there and try to make themselves the center of attention and talking about what they wear and where they've been and how much money they got. And to them, they think, oh my gosh, these people think I'm amazing. And those people could think this person's a complete idiot. But our life is so much about just what we think and how we think other people perceive us. And we should realize that people are going to perceive us and judge us based more on who they are than us. But for some people, that's very important. No, I need those people to view me a certain way. And if I can get those people to view me a certain way, then that means I'm something, I guess, But it's probably not just fair, creative, inspired, independent people. It's probably other people who conform to the world, operating more from their egoic nature, and they're not willing or haven't seen through the illusion of it yet, that they keep thinking that's the most important thing. And some of those types of people got in a relationship with someone who, I don't need other people to validate my worth and value. And if they're acting kind of prideful or egotistical or bossy or loud or got to be the center of attention, I don't know that I care to hang out with someone like that. You know, I kind of like high vibe Virgos, people who've learned lessons in life, how to get along with people in a just and fair way, more emotionally mature maybe than some other people. Just depends on, you know, what lessons we've learned. And some people aren't about their ego, and they are more willing to live their more authentic life and not give a damn. Everybody else is living their life. I'm going to live my authentic life. I'm treating people in a just and fair and loving way, offering people love and encouragement. I don't think I have to adhere to these invisible rules that dictate your life. You know, we could know some people that are really manipulated by a lot of these invisible rules they have in their head of how you should act like this and you should do this and you should do all these things so people view you a certain way. It's like, so you do those certain things, but you just do them because it's for the point of how people view you. It's not really authentically maybe even anything you want to do. How about you just really do what you do want to do and don't do what you don't want to do? Oh no, we've got to do these certain things so people view us a certain way. Okay. You know? So high vibe energy, anybody kind of, we go through these stages of life. We've either learned to be more, you know, high vibe Leo is authentic and warm and loving and nurturing, mainly authentic, you know? And high vibe, the Fool card I view as Aries energy. They're inspired to heal because they don't like having these things that manipulate them. I don't like my own fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs that I could have carried around for the last 5 years. You know, periodically over time, some people kind of work through those things because they have started to realize that they're maybe feeling limited and restricted and confined and oppressed, and they don't like it. So then they do this work within themselves to shed light on those issues, are inspired to want to free themselves. I don't like these things manipulating me. Why do I let these things manipulate me within myself and then other people in the world? And they heal, and then they're ready to move forward in life differently and go to the next stage of life, just like we did, age 15 to age 18, to age 21 to age 25. But the whole thing is, we get to a certain stage in life, and some people's idea was like, you know, when I was young, I kind of had to do these things, kind of had the peer pressure to do certain things in life. My idea of life, it can be the healing card, of course, kind of sounds like the Four Swords card of Libra. I have this idea that when I get to a certain stage in life, like I pop out and I'm an adult, well, now I can go anywhere on the spectrum of adulthood and look at all the different people and how they live their life. And maybe, you know, if I just have a job and I'm in a relationship, I'm good. And I'm never going to look at life from a higher perspective. I'm never going to step out of societal norms to bring needed change to the world. I'm never going to tap into my more creative, inspired, authentic nature and live my authentic life. No, I need to conform to the world. And other people couldn't make their life about that. I can't just make my life about it's just like, look at the things we could have indulged in when we were 15, 18, 21, and 25. That's like, oh my gosh, I'm living the dream. Well, who wanted to do that for the next 10 years all their life and for the next weekends? But some people do. Some people think that's living the dream. And other people are like, you know, I kind of viewed that as a phase of life. It was appropriate. I was that age. But then as I get older, you know, I put away those more childish ways of being. And, you know, there's other things that I want to explore and spread my wings on and grow up and temper my more immature, indulgent, lustful, greedy, lazy nature and put in some work and effort to be proud of myself that I am continuing to grow and mature myself over time and facing my fears. And some people are like, oh, why would you do that? We could just stay right here. And it's like, that's okay, you know? Different strokes for different folks. You stay there and keep resting, being happy, and if that's what makes you feel stable and balanced, then that's the life you should live. But I'm feeling limited and restricted and confined and oppressed and controlled, maybe. And I want to go explore the world some. You can come with me, but you have to, some things might have to change because I'm not the same person I was before. I don't have some of the fears and insecurities and codependencies and whatever that I maybe used to have to the same degree that I used to have it, you know? So let's go look at the top row. Overflow, old wounds, game over, new perspective. I think going with the flow of the universe is that just like we did age 15, 18, 21, 25, that we're supposed to do that throughout our life. You know, not stay stuck and stagnant out of fear that I might fail if I go try to do anything different. People might judge me. People might ridicule me. People might mock me. I'm going to make my life more out of fear or codependency or ego or image or indulgence or being defensive because I'm fearful of doing anything different. And some other people, you know, it could have been really hard with the overflow and the old wounds. But you know, the whole thing is, too, is that we repeat certain patterns in life because we do have these self-limiting beliefs and these unhealed wounds. And I think we will be drawn and attracted to people that could subconsciously kind of remind us of some of the people in our life that we have unresolved wounds from, because God wants us to be free of those things. And if we maybe weren't even consciously aware of some of where our wounding came from that makes us not be more bold and brave and confident and authentically ourselves in the world and treat ourselves with love and respect and kindness and compassion, I think we'll get in relationships with some people who, and we might not realize it till quite later on in the relationship, that it's like, oh my gosh, I could not believe you remind me of so-and-so. Like, I didn't know I married my mom, or I didn't realize I married my dad. You know, someone who reminds me of them. And it can kind of be, you know, it is our comfort zone. We know how to work with certain types of people. Just like sometimes you hear about people who could have grown up with certain type of parents. Like, wow, whatever their issue was. They could have been, well, they could have been kept to themselves more. And then we met someone who maybe does seem more reserved, but they seem more, you know, someone we can actually get in a romantic relationship with. And we think, oh, well, this time they'll get out of being more reserved, or maybe they indulge in these things of the world. I would never marry someone, say if a person grew up with an alcoholic, I would never marry an alcoholic. The whole thing is we know how to deal with people that have certain traits and characteristics. We know how to work with them because that's what we grew up with and it's our comfort zone. And then to be in relationships with people who might treat us in a more just and fair and authentic and loving way, it's like, this is different. I'm not really used to this. And it's kind of like, because we haven't healed. And sometimes we can even reject the loving people. Like, no, I'm not used to people treating me the way I treat them. I get in relationships with people that need healing, and then I'm going to work and put in a lot of work and effort to heal them. But that's kind of us maybe in our God Savior complex and ego, that we should, when people show us the truth of who they are, I'm defensive to love. I'm egotistical. I'm bossy. I'm lazy. I'm impulsive. I'm reckless. We should, odds are they're not going to be changing anytime soon. And because if you're not that way somewhere in your life journey, you realize that that wasn't beneficial to you having these more just and fair or balanced life or relationships. But somewhere along the way, they kept deciding, no, this works for me. And odds are they'll keep thinking that works for them. And when we kind of realize that, oh my gosh, this is a pattern of mine, and I don't want to keep living my life like this, it takes a lot of work. That's Virgo energy too. It's Earth sign energy. In high vibe, it's putting in work and effort to deal with some of those issues that we didn't even know were hidden in the dark inside of us, like old wounds, and really get to the core of why don't I think I deserve to be in relationships with people who love me. Again, you can be a very loving, nurturing person, but it's to people who kind of reject you or don't work with you in that way. Why don't I think I deserve to be in relationships with people who treat me that way? And that's when we have to do this work to work through those old wounds. And when we go through that and are doing that, we can kind of have some grace and compassion for some people in our past who didn't do that work within themselves, because it does take a lot of work and effort. And some people are like, I don't have to deal with it. I'm going to ignore it, and then they just suppress it, keep it buried beneath the surface in a box in the back of their brain. But it still affects how they interact in the world because it is unresolved. And the game over, that's when, with the new perspective, when you have done that work to work through it and offer love and compassion and forgiveness to yourself for the mistakes you've made, and you realize how hard this is to do it, I think people get to where they can offer love and compassion to people in their past because they had their life, they had their childhood, they had their issues, and we know how hard it is. And we just accept that we can only take responsibility for how we contributed to things not working out when we had growing and healing and maturing to do. And then we also, though we do hold other people accountable, and people who freed themselves from more of those things that manipulate them are more loving, more giving, more nurturing, more just, more fair. And some people aren't. And we just have compassion, I guess, that they had their own struggles, and their life could have been different if they would have done different, but they didn't do different. And we kind of reap what we sow. And that's when people kind of look at life from that bigger perspective. And they also, some people right now are doing they could be kind of indulging themselves in their ego and their more all about themself nature, because that's a free will choice we have also, right? I want to feel better. I'm going to look outside myself to all these things that I could go indulge in, including relationships or drugs or alcohol or whatever, to be the answer to my problem to make me feel better. Things of the world are meant to be enjoyed, but they're meant to be enjoyed from a place of love. That way they don't get such a stranglehold on us, and we're codependent on them to be the answer to our problems. Even making people we get in a relationship with to be the answer to our problems. Like, some people are full of themselves and narcissistic kind of, and it's like, people are supposed to want to be in a relationship with me. I don't have to heal. I don't have to curb myself at all. I can be bossy. I can be controlling. I can be manipulative. Because I think there's other people, because I'm kind of full of myself, and maybe with Leo and Aries energy and the Libra card, maybe, that's kind of like justice. In a lot of ways, they could look very victorious and successful in the world, like they have gotten justice in the world. Come on over, folks. Look at me. I got these things of the world. I'm attractive, I'm charming, I've got money, I've got social clout, I'll have sex with you. You know, whatever their thing is that they use. And they think, I don't have to change. I look like I have these things of the world, that there'll be people who want to be in a relationship with me. And then those people kind of do serve a purpose in the world. God uses all things for God's good purposes. Oh, look, I have some people, I have some healing to do. And again, I think we come in contact with all these different people to help us get clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't. We can all be drawn and attracted to people who look like they got it going on in the world. Because, we want to be in relationships with people who got it going on. And they could seem very stable, very grounded, very, pillar of society or something. If, stable, grounded, loving, nurturing, fun people or whatever. And then we can get in a relationship with them. And we could think that they harness this energy the same way we do, that they're motivated and inspired by love, that they're going to listen to their intuition. But then as time goes by in the relationship, we could realize that they haven't learned some lessons that some other people have learned about how to play nicely with others. And they might be a little full of themselves, or they might be kind of manipulative, or they might like the scales tipped in their favor all the time. They might be a little bossy and controlling or something, and you just kind of realize over time, and it can be sad, whether it's a family member, a long-term friend, or a romantic interest. I had a dream that we were going to get along and be friends or be in a relationship like forever. But sometimes when we did some work to heal or grow or change or mature or look at life from a higher perspective, and we freed ourselves from some things that manipulated us, we're different. And then sometimes those people don't want to be in a relationship with us anymore because they only like to be in relationships where everybody's maybe kind of caught up in the illusion of who they are, or caught up in these same things of the world that they like to indulge in, or making their life more about the world, where people don't do this work to heal and grow or mature themselves. And yeah, really emotionally difficult, but something about the situation reminded you maybe of other situations in your life when people kind of acted like that. And we probably know how those situations worked out. And it could just be an old wound of, why don't people choose love? Why don't people temper some of their fears and insecurities to be, but when we look at how at times we weren't that way in our life, it's maybe on different degrees of scale, but we can understand it because we've been there and done it too. 2 different degrees of scale. Some people, it's much worse, but we've all kind of not been truthful, not been honest, not been just and fair. We're a little bit more caught up in ourselves. Could have had some addictions along the way or something, bad habits. But, the more you go through this in life, especially if someone, their mask could have slipped and you kind of realized they are not who I thought they were. They are not maybe as balanced or as just or fair as I thought they were. And it's like, I can't stay here. And so you leave and you tell them, I can't do this like this. And if that person isn't willing to illuminate the truth and get out of their ego or their defensive nature or their immature nature to reveal the truth and be willing to move forward with you in this more authentic, just, fair way, then it's game over. And just like some of you already did that and some of you are up here, there's other people in the world going through this right now in relationships they're in. Some of the people that are probably going to stay in their comfort zone and kind of keep repeating the same pattern because when they were in that relationship with you, they had the free will choice and it came down to what is your choice. And they could have decided, You either are willing to see the truth and heal, or you have an idea. I could do that, but that takes this work and effort, and I would have to do that, and I decided no. And so they're going to repeat an old pattern just with other people. And some of those people right now could kind of be trying to make themselves feel better in the world, getting in new relationships. You're either being truthful and honest and authentic and just and fair in a relationship, or you're kind of trying to prevent people from seeing the truth of who you are, operating more from your ego, thinking you can kind of emotionally manipulate people and make them view you a certain way in order to try to get someone new to get in a relationship with them or keep staying in a relationship with them. Looking like they've went on a new journey. Look, I've changed. Look, I healed. Look, I moved on. But all they did, it's just like, if you ever had an employee or a boss or a coworker that everybody knew that they're kind of petty and immature and bossy or controlling or something like that, and then they go somewhere else like, oh my gosh, and they just love me, and oh my gosh, I'm so happy at this job, and you're like, yeah, we'll just watch and see how that turns out, because I don't think you're any different than you were at the last job or the last relationship. And I'm sure eventually the people you're in a new relationship with or at that new job, if they're people who have learned some more life lessons than they have about how to play nicely with other people, eventually those people will see the truth. And because everybody has free will, it's like, oh, God's like, oh, we got some people who have some lessons to learn. Send in the clowns, and the door to shadow opens and people come in our life. And the next person who gets in a relationship with them has to decide, am I willing to make my life like that? More maybe about ego and not listening to my intuition and being a fool for the world or a fool for these things that I think will make me happy. Am I going to give up my dreams of a deep, meaningful, authentic, loving relationship? If so, perfect. They found someone who's either on the same page as them or willing to create this illusion with them. It's just some other people are like, I can't live that life anymore, and I can't create the illusion that this is based on love. Maybe at one time it seemed to be based on love, but over time people can become spoiled, people can get caught up in themselves, people can feel entitled, and the whole thing goes in the ditch, And it's like, I'm not going down there and staying down there with you. So it takes all this work to work through it, and then we have a new perspective. And then sometimes when we have that new perspective, we could realize, wow, I did learn some valuable lessons from this life experience. I definitely got clear about what my truth is. And when I had those lessons learned, I could have pushed away some people in my life. I didn't become friends with certain people. I didn't date certain people. I could have gotten out of friendships or dating people because I was kind of drawn and attracted to some people that I had some life lessons to learn from that maybe had to do with some old wounding I had. And now that I do see life differently, and I am ready to be in relationships with people who I might think are more on the same page as me, then people might communicate with some people. So the missing you card is kind of reminding me of the Five of Cups, where we're looking at a relationship in our past other than this one. That, gee, maybe those were the people that were more on the same page as me, but because I wasn't there yet, I could have rejected some people. And then I think high vibe people with the new perspective card kind of seeming like a King and Queen of Swords card. We speak our truth and we tell people, the lessons that we learned. If we owed people an apology, we offer people an apology. That I learned these lessons and I look at life differently, and I'm no longer willing to invest in people in my life who I thought were just and fair, but I found out they're not just and fair. And I did this inner work, or I just realized their truth is different than my truth, and what they're motivated and inspired by, and their long-term goals are different than my long-term goal. And that might open up some old wounds for some people. And for some of those people that we could reach out to, those people could be like, when this didn't work out, I too had to do this inner work, and I looked at life from a higher perspective, and I could be glad that you got out of that situation. And for some of those people, though, it's like I've already moved on and I'm moving on in a new relationship. Other people might say, I'm glad you saw the truth of that. I'm glad you healed, and other people we could get in a relationship with. And just like we could do that with people as we move forward in life, there's other people doing this work who then might reach out to us. I would say probably not the person that you saw wasn't on the same page as you. This would be someone else, someone that you kind of think is more similar to you, and you both just had different lessons learned, and just like you're moving forward, some of those people could be doing this work right now to look at life from a higher perspective, and maybe one day they'll reach out to you. And I think high vibe people are happy that people have healed and grown and matured themselves. And with some of those people, it's different if it's a friend or a family member, to kind of let them back in our life to different degrees. It might be different with a romantic interest. It's like, well, some people, depending on how people acted and what they did, we don't want to act out of ego because that has its own karmic repercussions. But for some people, depending on how badly people hurt people, it might be, I can't ever get back in that type of relationship with you. It just depends on the degree of what they did. And other people, maybe it could be possible. Some people, when people part relationships, they don't wish other people ill will, and they're not trying to tear them down and, destroy their reputation. They wish them peace, but we're just kind of not on the same page at the same time. But anyway, what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Libra energy in the world that they might not see coming? And if you communicated with some people and those people aren't working together with you and communicating with you in truth and love, then you realize that is over too. And we don't know with some of those people if they're in a perfectly loving lives of their own, or if they're caught up in something. But, we can't keep staying stuck and stagnant. We accept that some people we're not on the same page with for whatever reasons, and we keep moving forward in truth and love. So we have the Knight of Cups and the King of Cups, and the reason that came out is because of the Page of Cups. And the way I view the Page of Cups is getting to that place. Some of you aren't in that place yet. You're still doing this work within yourself, which can be, we're these emotionally complex people, we've got to work through all of them, the anger, the grief, the whatever, But eventually we do get, because we offer love to ourselves, eventually we get to a place of making peace with the people in our past. We see the truth. We see through the illusion. Hurt people hurt people. Unjust people act unjustly. People that have some growing up and maturing to do don't act with character and integrity. Some people who try to create an illusion in the world about who they are, and we see through the illusion, we could just see that they're kind of prideful, egotistical, or all about themselves, and it's really just all about them. And we see the truth of it, and it's like, we know that this person is going to learn some hard lessons in life. Because if they're not who they present themselves to be, other people are going to see the truth of it. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And, the torture in their life is themselves. Just like when we hadn't loved and believed in ourselves, and we got consumed in things, you know, and our life was in a little bit of hell driving in the ditch. And some of these people don't even see that they're driving in the ditch until some future point in time when they realize, wow, I really drove my life off into the ditch. You know, why do I do that? And then maybe they'll do this work within themselves. But you get to a place of offering peace. And once you've done the healing, that might be when you kind of realize, wow, I think there was some other people. You, because you're not in your pride and ego, no problem admitting that, you know, I made mistakes in life. Reach out to people, tell them I made some mistakes in life. I learned these valuable lessons. You know, I'm moving forward like this. If you want to hang out, if you want to be friends again, or whatever, you know, I'm moving forward like this. Who wants to come with? And again, some of those people might say they already moved ahead of us. And some of those people are like, oh, I'm glad that you did learn that lesson, but I just wish you peace. And I've already found other people that I'm more on the same page with. I was like, yeah, it is what it is. Got to deal with the truth. And now, next time I'm in relationships with people who seem to be more on the same page as them, you know, I've learned these lessons to, if I'm tempted to not put work and effort, to be open and authentic too, and not let people who seem to want to work together with me in a just fair manner, you know, not sabotage it. And then I think as you're moving forward in that energy, you're looking to the future, having hope and faith and belief in your dreams would be the Knight of Cups. And then in the King of Cups, you're taking action in truth and love, loving yourself, making peace with the past, and looking to the future. And again, making those gestures to people in the world, to find the people and listen to your intuition about the people who are on the same page as where you're at now. And I think as you do that, there's going to be other people that want to invest in you, because they've also went through stages of life where they've lived their life certain ways, got in contact with these different people to find out what their truth is, and they've kind of gotten out of those same type of relationship dynamics, and they're on the same page as you. And if life is about learning lessons, and you learn the lesson you're meant to learn, you're ready to go on this new journey, and then the new lesson kind of has to appear. But we do this work to take action in our life from truth and love than out of pride or ego or lust or greed, because we've already learned that when we do that, things don't work out the way we want. And there's no guarantees in life, but if I want the best chance of being in a healthy relationship, I need to make healthy, loving, respectful decisions about my own hopeful, believing, loving, authentic nature, to not get myself in situations that aren't in alignment with my truth. What's coming up for people who might harness a more worldly, or shadowy Libra energy that they might not see coming up? Has to do with these 4 cards and the Queen of Wands. People can act immature, bossy, controlling, whatever, live in a certain stage of life, and eventually there's going to be some people in their life that heal, that are kind of no longer harnessing shadowy Leo energy, of kind of being in their ego or caught up in their ego or their more worldly nature. And instead, they're going to align with their more high vibe Leo nature of, I've been illuminated to the truth. I feel limited, restricted, confined, oppressed, something. And I'm listening to my intuition and being bold and brave and confident to stay focused on the truth. And I'm going to close out a cycle of how I used to view life, or how I used to treat myself, or relationships, or people I used to hang out with. And I'm going to have hope and faith and belief in my dreams. And when some other people do that, because some of the other people may never do that in their life, or at least aren't doing it now, they're going to be shocked. You know, high vibe Leo is like people who gave themselves the things that they wished other people would have given them. Treat themselves with love and compassion and forgiveness and encouragement. And these people are cutting these things out of their life. They're no longer harnessing those energies in a shadowy way. And when they quit aligning with those traits and characteristics in some degree of a more worldly, shadowy way, they're going to cut the people out of their life that are still aligned with those in a more shadowy way. The Five of Swords, the Strength card, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Ace of Pentacles. People used to have mental... Some of these people that are getting out of some situations in their life, or ways of living life, it's been causing them some mental conflict. Because they had their idea of how they thought things were going to move forward, and apparently some of the other people, the Five of Swords comes after the Four of Swords, and they're starting to realize that the people in their life, those people might harness a more worldly, shadowy Libra, Virgo, Aries, Aquarius, Taurus philosophy of life. And they thought things were going to move forward with a certain way of viewing things, and realizing the other people kind of have a different philosophy of life, have a different idea of the dream relationship or dream life. And they tempered their ego about it, kind of realizing my dream isn't going to come into reality here, because some people in my life are going to move forward with me in this way. But there's some other people in my life that we view life differently. And I tempered my ego about it, even though it caused me some mental conflict. But I did this work within myself to work through some of my issues, to incorporate a truth into my foundation, and I'm going to move forward based on that truth. And that means I'm not going to keep investing in you. And some of the people that are doing that right now, just like some of you already did that with some people in your life, they're shocked. I can't believe, and some of them, they're shocked because they know you're a loving, nurturing person and that you love them and you want to be in a relationship with them or friends with them long term. And they can't believe that they can't keep manipulating you in the love that you have for them to make you do the relationship the way they want. And it's like, but I don't think you're acting in a just and fair or truthful or loving or acting with character and integrity. And I've seen the truth of that. And I love myself too much to keep just tempering myself, indulging you in a relationship where you're unwilling to see the truth of some issues you need to deal with. And so long as that's the case, you can go find someone else to be in a relationship with, because I'm moving on. And because these cards weren't showing themselves, they don't understand how you're doing this. If there's someone who operates more from their ego and tries to just create this illusion about what type of person they are, they don't know how to create the illusion that they're like you, because they don't understand it. What they don't get is that you're harnessing these energies in a high vibe way now. You did look at life from a higher perspective. You put life in perspective. I'm probably going to live 80 years. Is this where the kind of friendships and jobs and romantic relationships or people I want to keep hanging out with? No. Will I maybe find a new job, a new friend, a new romantic relationship in the next day, week, month, year? Maybe not. But I put life in perspective. I'm going to enjoy my life being with people who are loving and nurturing and supportive in my life, or just enjoying the people in the world who are nice and kind, not having anybody in my life that are shadowy or bossy or controlling or whatever. I'm just going to enjoy my life only being around people and investing my time, energy, and effort into people who seem to treat me with respect and kindness, being generous of spirit. And that's apparently not you. And you did this work. You tempered your ego. They maybe never temper their ego. So that's why they can't understand it. How are you not all caught up in the world, wanting to compete in the world and have all these things? How could you give up all these things? I could look like I have all these things. How could you possibly not want to keep staying in a relationship with me? Because I've realized that all those things I don't find emotionally fulfilling. Yeah, we all want some of these things of the world. But I'm not willing to sacrifice just and fair and loving and authentic and deep, meaningful relationships to have those things. I would give up some of those things to have a more balanced life. And low vibe Virgo, or more worldly Virgo, is more about having all the things or indulging in all the things. High vibe Virgo is it's a balance of things. I might not have all the things in the world that I wanted. I didn't get everything on my bucket list. It wasn't just all about me. But I'm working with people who are loving and supportive and encouraging and authentic. And I'm truly abundant. And they can't maybe relate to that because they could be all about, it's about winning at all costs. It's about your ego and your image and how much money you have. Or if you have somebody indulging you in your ego, that's like living the dream. I get to be bossy, or I get to be controlling, or I get to be immature. And I have someone who's not going anywhere. Look, I have someone who's not going anywhere. Oh, I'm living the dream. Wow, really? Us living the dream? Another thing they might not see coming is they're going to be given different opportunities. God gives people different opportunities. Have you learned your lesson yet? They could get in a relationship with someone else who also, hey, yeah, you look like this. You got these things going on in the world. Yeah, I want to be in a relationship with you. Some of those people are going to be loving people just like you. Right now, have some mental conflict about loving and believing in themselves, or believing they can manifest their dreams into reality, or they want to get in a relationship, want to get married, want to have kids, but, the people they'd like to maybe that are more on the same page as them aren't around, maybe life is about working, trying to work together to go to the next phase with people, even if they're not really quite on the same page as me. And they might repeat this pattern all over again with someone else. But they don't realize that this person harnesses the same type of energy as some of the other loving people in their life. And eventually, this whole thing will repeat itself again. Something else that could happen is they get in a relationship, as loving people keep not wanting to be in relationships with them, they might end up in a relationship with someone who's like themselves. And that person is hiding that they are just like them. Because even shadowy people, even though they might not want to do love, they might not want to be in a relationship with someone like themselves. Well, I like it to be more about me. Or I like to be the boss. Or I like to be the center of attention. Or, but I want people to view me as this just and fair and loving person, so they like to try to get just and fair and loving people to get in a relationship with them. And they might have someone who presents themselves as being that type of person, but they're hiding that they're just like them. I too want to win at all costs in the world, and I'm more about ego and image and money and materialism too, and I might have some issues about realizing I have some healing or growing and maturing to do. And then they'll be in a relationship with someone like themselves. By worldly standards, it might look good. But they might have a lot of mental conflict staying in it, because then they kind of realize what it's like to be in a relationship with someone like themselves in different degrees. One person could be bossy and kind of wants to always be the center of attention, but maybe another is kind of controlling or jealous and envious, and, it's not, people got some healing to do, and it might cause them some mental conflict. They might stay in it more out of their ego in a relationship with someone who's operating from their ego. They both could be hiding that they have mental conflict about it, but because they want these things of the world or to have a certain status or image, they just kind of have to temper their ego and maybe try to temper themselves in the relationship because they don't want to have to go back out there to try to find someone new. And if they're in a relationship with someone who seems like they're willing to stay in a relationship with them and they're not going to go anywhere, it's like, well, shit. If you're not going to leave, then I would have to leave. And that maybe wouldn't be good for my ego or image or status, because generally people are really about their ego and image. They want the other people to leave so they can seem like they're the good person, even though the reason the person left was because they weren't really a good person. But if they can't get the other person to leave, and they're both creating this illusion of how wonderful and happy our life is, and they've been maybe telling everybody how happy and loving this person is, well then, they get trapped in their own illusion where or the thing that they manifested kind of out of pride and ego or lust or greed, and they'd probably really like to leave, but in order to leave, you have to be willing to illuminate the truth, or they'll figure out a way to try to get, I don't know. I just think some of them might be in a new beginning trying to get someone else to stay in a relationship with them because they don't want to reveal the truth or deal with the truth. And they have this long-term goal of looking like they have all these things of the world. But I think people who aren't authentic and honest, I think they always are hiding that they have mental conflict. Because, for one, they know they're trying to manipulate other people and they're not being truthful and honest. And then they have a lot of mental conflict because they know that's who they are. Then they have mental conflict about the people they're in a relationship with because they're wondering if that person is just manipulating them and not really being authentic. And because of that, they do these foolish things in a relationship, either trying to stop the people that they're in a relationship with from loving and believing in themselves to stay focused on them out of their fear and insecurity and codependency, or because they don't trust other people, they do something foolish that the other person eventually is like, what in the hell are you doing? And it's like, well, I don't trust you because I know I'm being fake and superficial, and I think you're maybe being fake and superficial. So then I make these foolish decisions in a relationship trying to see if you're being fake and superficial. And that's when other people say, oh my God, this person's got problems. I need to leave. So there you go, Libra energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.